We've all been hurt. It's just part of life. But the real question is always, what do we do next? You always hear people say, get tougher, build up your walls. But what if that's not the answer? What if the real way to heal isn't about becoming harder, but about getting back our emotional dignity? Man, this one hits hard, doesn't it? Because the initial thing that happened, that's one kind of pain, but the sting that really lasts, that often comes from us. It's how we hit replay on that scene over and over in our minds. It's the arguments we have with them in the car by ourselves. It's the anger we just kind of swallow. We're the ones who keep picking at the wound.
So the first step isn't just to move on. I think that phrase is a little too simple, you know? Real healing, that means we have to actually stop, turn around, and be honest about what we're doing to ourselves. And a lot of the time, that starts with looking at our own gut reactions to being hurt.
Okay, so let's break down our two most common reactions when we get hurt. First, there's seeking vengeance. We tell ourselves it's about justice, right? But what it really does is keep us chained to the very person who hurt us. And the other one? Bottling it all up? We think it makes us look strong, but honestly, it's usually just fear wearing a Halloween costume of self-control. Both of them are traps. So what are we aiming for then? It's this idea, emotional dignity. Think of it as our North Star in all this. It's about figuring out how to protect our own peace without becoming a fortress. It's learning to respond from a place of self-respect instead of just reacting. It's about being so grounded in yourself that someone else's storm doesn't have to become your hurricane. So how do we even start to build this emotional dignity? Well, our first tool might sound a little backwards. In that moment of hurt, one of the most powerful things you can do is absolutely nothing. Let's talk about the incredible power of strategic silence. That urge to fire back a text, to defend yourself, to set the record straight, it's so primal. I get it, but real wisdom is realizing that not every invitation to a fight is one you have to accept. Choosing to be silent isn't weakness. It's a conscious choice to protect yourself. You're deciding that your energy, your peace, is just too valuable to give away. And that's the magic of the pause. When you don't fire back immediately, you save yourself from saying things you'll regret later. You give yourself a second to ask, wait, what am I actually feeling right now? You dodge so many pointless fights. And maybe most importantly, you get to decide when or even if this conversation continues. You're back in the driver's seat. And this is the beautiful outcome. When you refuse to engage with the drama, you don't absorb their negativity. They're just left holding it. And you get to walk away with your peace. And that, right there, is a quiet but massive win. But what happens in that silence? Well, a lot of the time, we find ourselves just waiting for that text, that call, that I'm sorry. We're waiting for closure that we think can only come from them. And this brings us to a really tough part of the healing process. I mean, really think about that. When we put our own healing on pause, just waiting to hear from someone else, what are we doing? We're basically becoming a prisoner of their choice, of their silence. We're just stuck. It's like this. When you decide that you can only have peace after they apologize, you are literally outsourcing your own freedom. You're handing the keys to your own well-being back to the person who hurt you in the first place, and then just waiting by a door they might never decide to open. But if we can let go of that desperate need for an answer right now, something amazing starts to happen. Time, which felt like our enemy, starts to become our friend. On day one, all you can think about is why. But 10 weeks later, you look around and realize, the world didn't stop. By month 6, it dawns on you that you don't actually need them to agree with your side of the story. And then maybe a year later, you can look back and see that the wound, it wasn't just a wound. It was a catalyst. It forced you to grow. Okay, so this leads us to our next major strategy, and it's all about changing what we call our pattern of presence. This is about actively shaking up the dynamic by rethinking something we all do, just being constantly available. Here's a hard truth. When you're always there, always the one to answer the phone, always accommodating, your presence stops feeling like a choice you make, and it starts being taken for granted. You become like a piece of furniture, reliable, always there, but eventually invisible. And the fallout from this is subtle, but it's so damaging. People stop seeing your presence as a gift and start seeing it as a given. That simple appreciation for you just being there, it fades away. And very slowly, without anyone really meaning for it to happen, you start to feel like you're disappearing. So what do?
This isn't about playing mind games or trying to punish anyone. This is about self-recovery. First, you just create a little intentional space. Maybe you don't text back for an hour. Maybe take a Friday night for yourself. Then you just watch what happens without any big expectations. And the most important part, you take all that energy you were pouring out and you pour it right back into you.
Because you know what? Sometimes a small, meaningful absence speaks louder than your constant presence ever could. It creates a little bit of space, and in that space, the other person has a chance to notice what they stopped seeing. It lets them see you again. And all of this strategic silence, letting go of the need for an apology, reclaiming your own presence, it's all leading us to one final powerful destination. The understanding that true, real, lasting closure, it's an inside job. You have to make a choice about how you relate to your own past. Are you living there? Are you waking up and going to sleep in old memories? Or are you just visiting, taking the lessons you need, and then coming back to the present moment? Because one of those is a prison, and the other is a classroom. And you'll know you're getting there when you start noticing these little shifts. Like when you realize you don't need the other person to get it anymore. When your decision to take space feels right, even if they don't approve. When your boundaries become sacred to you. And oh, this is the most freeing one of all. When you just stop explaining yourself to people who are determined to misunderstand you.
And this is really what it all boils down to. Your wholeness, your value, your integrity as a person, it was never dependent on them in the first place. It doesn't matter if they ever admit what they did. You have everything you need to fix what's broken inside of you.
And let's just be really clear about something. Healing is not amnesia. It's not about pretending something didn't happen. It's about getting to a place where you can remember the story, but the story no longer has power over you. The memory is there, but that knot in your stomach isn't. So I just want to leave you with this. After all of this, just take a quiet second and ask yourself this one gentle question. What part of you, no matter how tiny, is ready to let go? Ready to stop waiting? Ready to start living from this new place of strength and dignity? Whatever your answer is, that's the beginning of everything.